Barack Obama's Democrats have formally nominated him for re-election in November during the second day of the party's national convention in North Carolina. Ex-President Bill Clinton took center stage to praise Obama and hit back at Republican claims that he has the worst economic record of any president in modern history. The incumbent leader, who's currently tied with Mitt Romney in the popularity polls, will speak at the convention later. Well, let's now cross to the US Capitol for some insight from Lawrence Freeman from Executive Intelligence Review magazine. Well, the Republicans are calling Obama's presidency a failure, while the Democrats say he spent the last 4 years trying to fix the mess left by George W. Bush. So what do you make of all of that?
Well, Obama's presidency is a failure, but it's more than that. He's a very dangerous individual. And right now, he is pursuing policies for a nuclear confrontation, a war with Russia and China that could lead to a nuclear confrontation if he's not immediately derailed, removed from office over the next immediate days and weeks. We have looked at this very seriously. LaRouche PAC, my organization, has put out a 35-minute video called Unsurvivable, which goes through how his actions in Iran and Syria, that President Obama could lead us into a nuclear confrontation with Russia and China. So Obama is a failure. But the Republicans do not offer any real alternative. And in fact, both parties are behaving in the worst level of partisanship, like two teams in the Super Bowl, and they will lie and say anything they can to win, but they're not offering any principles to actually help the United States and help the world. So the United States is in very difficult condition right now, and I'm working with our organization to put forth a clear alternative, but Obama has to be removed for any progress to take place in the United States.
You say both are just as bad as each other, but what about Romney's comments about Russia? I mean, clearly the Republicans could be worse than Obama with their foreign policy against the likes of Russia and China?
Well, it's clear looking at Romney's policies, this is this continuation of the neocon policies that we saw with George Bush and Dick Cheney. The difference is, the policies are horrible. The difference is that Obama is a more dangerous individual. Mr. LaRouche, our founder of our organization, described Obama as a reincarnation of the Emperor Nero, that is, he's capable of taking very psychotic, dangerous acts. And right now, if you look at what he's done, if you look at his policy each week to sit down and pick out new people to kill with drone attacks, if you look at his exoneration of the torturing that went on in Afghanistan, if you look at all of his policy, this guy is a killer and he's dangerous. So the Romney people are also the wrong policy, but Obama is a more dangerous individual, and he right now could get us into the worst possible military war policy we've ever seen.
And yet all that talk about resetting relations and, of course, the US missile defense shield being a major division between the US and Russia, Obama promising to be even more flexible after the election on this. This is all simply empty rhetoric. He'll go back on his word concerning the anti-missile defense shield?
Oh, I think that's obvious. Look, we put up this so-called defense shield, and we would not go through the simple measures of forming a joint initiative with Russia. Last year, several leaders in the Russian government put forth the policy for a strategic defense of the Earth, for us to join with Russia on using the most advanced scientific and technological principles to protect the planet Earth from meteorites or asteroids. We could do the same thing with a defense shield, which under Ronald Reagan was called the Strategic Defense Initiative. Right now, Obama will say and do anything, but he cannot be believed. And there is a deep split in the United States. People should be aware that the Joint Chiefs of Staff, General Dempsey, spoke in London last month and made very clear that he opposes U.S. support for an Israeli attack on Iran, and that General Dempsey opposes military intervention into Syria. There's a deep rift in the United States. And I think also after last night's Democratic convention, given what Obama did in forcing through this dictatorial policy to recognize Jerusalem as the sole capital of Israel, more and more people in the Democratic Party are going to distance themselves from Obama. They're scared of him, but you're going to see fissures and breaks.
Just very briefly, I want to make it clear, very, very clear. Do you then predict a military strike against Iran? Just very briefly after the election.
No. I'm not predicting it, but the inside Israel, the population itself is opposed to it. This is the policies of Bibi Netanyahu, which Obama, we've been told here and in Israel, has ensured Israel's leadership that he will back them in the attack on Iran. And General Dempsey in London last week said, no, we should not. I'm going to distance myself from that position. So there's a split in the United States right now.
Lawrence Freeman, thank you very much indeed for your thoughts. Thank you very much indeed for joining us live there from Washington, D.C.